Hey guys, it's Nick. Thanks for tuning into Long Island Wargaming. And Brawler Bash was a success. It was a fun trip, definitely a good time. But this is how I'm going to go about putting my reports up. I'm going to be putting up, of course, this game with the Sustainable Center, and I'm going to put up the game with Malorian next, Mr. Malorian. I want to just create some time in between these games. This way, by the time you watch it on their channel, some time has passed, so you're not watching the same stuff twice. So Anthony's already started pumping out his regular games, and so has Once Bitten. Malorian not yet. But since everyone's going with their games first, I figured I'll do some practice games before I jump to the Brawler Bash games. And then after Brawler Bash, I still have two more practice games to put up with two local players here, a Dark Elf game and a Ogre Kingdoms game. So this is the game that we did before the 8-hour drive down to South Carolina the night before on Thursday, the weekend of Brawler Bash, and this is the game with Anthony, and let's get into it. So I've played a couple games with him at this point, and I have not yet beat him, so we'll see how this game goes. I did score a win against him when he was doing the Brettonian campaign, but we don't really count that because Brettonian, which is already a tough army to play and win with, was under even further restrictions when they were trying to get different virtues for their Brettonian campaign. So for my spells, the big bummer was I didn't roll up Plague, so that was the spell I really, really needed. But I got Warp Lightning, Blessed with Filth, Wither, Vermintide, and Clouded Corruption. I didn't bring the Dreaded 13th because he has no infantry. He has Wissons, Flock, Amber Spear, and of course, Savage Beast. And here's the battlefield. So we got my Skaven on the right and Anthony's Brettonian to the left. And you got all the different Peg Knights going to be chaffing up and causing some issues. The Lance formations, I forget which ones are Realm and which ones are Errant, but it really doesn't matter because they're more of a delivery system for the, like, 10 Paladins that he has. So, yeah. So here is the final list that I have. I had to make a few tweaks because I was paying an illegal price for one of the magic items. I have to pay the more expensive price in my rulebook, which is fine. So I had to adjust my heroes by 5 points, so a couple models bounced around from here to there. The Gutter Runners did go back to 1 unit that you might have saw before on the left side of this river. They'll be shooting at the Peg Knights, but here it is. Here's my deployment. So I go first. The scouting Gutter Runners go ahead and move over the river, and they're going to be shooting at the Peg Knights. The Helped Abomination makes a quick run forward, as does the Doom Wheel. I make sure that the Helped Abomination moves to the right far enough, this way he can deal with any Peg Knights that come too close, but also just stay away from the Doom Wheel because I don't want to zap myself. So the most useful item in the Skaven army against Brettonian is this guy, the Lightning Cannon, which decides to blow up turn 1, which really sucks. A nice roll. Actually, you can roll really shitty and still do good with this. You can roll a 2 for the bounce and still roll freaking like 4 and a 4 or 6 on the bounce and strength and still kill a bunch of knights with no armor save. But, you know, that's Skaven for you. The Gutter Runners try to redeem me and roll a whole lot of poisons for the shots against the Peg Knights. And I was able to kill one, so yay. The Doom Wheel zaps 2 knights. You can see that there's 2 missing in this charge here. And that's it for my turn. There really isn't anything going on in Magic because I'm too far away and all my spells are out of range. So as you can see, there are some charges here. I neglect to avoid the Flaming Banner, which I'm pretty sure that Lance has. So, you know, that's an error. But at the same time, if the knights are away from me, that gives me some time to deal with whatever else I can with magic or shooting. But yeah, so that's going to happen. And the third Lance unit to the left of the building either fails charge or backs up. I forget what he does, but they didn't make it in against the Hell Pit. The Pegasus come to wrap around over here by the slaves. I don't remember what happens in Magic. However, in shooting, the Trebuchet does go ahead and knock off a little bit of a chunk of the clan rats. Over here, the Hell Pit falls as expected. I'm not able to do any wounds because, you know, his heroes have a higher initiative, and this is when I start realizing, you know, this is the problem. The heroes are going to be in the front, and my clan rats and vermin and even my heroes aren't going to be able to deal with the freaking heroes in the front rank. So, yeah, I didn't really watch any of Anthony's prep games either, so I didn't realize that this is how the list was working. Once Savage starts getting off and I see how many heroes are in the bubble, you know, that's when I start to comprehend the list a little bit better. Over here, the Doom Wheel kills 2 knights with his grind attack, but again, the hero is going to smash out first, and that's going to be the end of it. And you know what? I'm not worried. I know my toys are dead, and that's, should be an excuse for me to be worried, but I'm not upset yet. I still have some time to deal with these knights. My lightning cannon's dead, my doom wheel and help hit's dead. I still have a help hit, maybe he'll do something. But in my turn 2, I go ahead and chaff up these knights again with some giant rats. The gutter runners go into this building so they can poison sling the trebuchet. Oh, and over here, instead of advancing at the lance unit by the building, I just turn this guy around and eat the peg knights. I'm not sure if that was a bluff and Anthony didn't think I was going to do it, but I mean, he was only like 4 inches away from me, so I'm with my random move guy. I might as well turn him around, keep him closer to my troops, and keep that lance formation away as long as possible. And here's a shot of the battlefield all together now. You can see the knights are still pretty far away, which I'm happy about. I can warp fire thrower them, and once they get closer, I can do some magic to help out. But the fact that I don't have plague really sucks. I was really hoping to do some toughness tests, no armor save, but what are you gonna do? So nothing really going on with the bell and magic phase too much, but we do inflict 3 wounds to this trebuchet, which is great. It's the good probability when you have 9 gutter runners shooting with poison slings, but it doesn't really help when there's 4 wounds on the trebuchet. I make easy work of the peg knights, and I turn around and deal with the oncoming lance when it is time. So, Brettonian turn 2, these guys go into the giant rats. The one on the right is perfect because if he does go ahead and decide to overrun, he'll run through the forest, maybe fail some difficult terrain tests. And over here, a failed charge, so we have a standoff between the hell pit and the lance unit. There was a successful charge here against the slaves. Not really upset about this. He'll be fine. They'll be fine. So another sacrificial group of peg knights are going to come here and chaff the hell pit so I don't hit the lances. And here's a shot of the battlefield. So the nice colorful Brettonian army is advancing, and they're still, around the 24-inch line, so they're about halfway there to me. And the peg knights are kind of all over the place, and Lord Flappy Bird is front and center. So Wissens gets off onto these guys, so they're +1 strength, +1 toughness. And then we dip into my turn 3. So here's something worth mentioning because it was an error. That peg knight all the way to the right there, they actually didn't charge the slaves. They just moved up full right freaking next to them. So there was no combat there. So the slaves, I decided to march up forward into the forest. Not too much so I start losing steadfast, but enough to keep those knights away. This way, we can dwindle them down with, I don't know, maybe shooting the warp fire thrower into them. The engineer has popped out now, so he can do the doom rocket, and even if the peg knights charge the flank of the storm vermin, I can make way with my bonebreaker bonebreaker lord, and probably wreak some havoc that way. In Magic, I roll up Deafening Peals onto the bell, which is cool. It finishes off the one trebuchet that had 3 wounds on him, so the gunner runners that left the building don't have anything to shoot at, which is good though because they left the building because the buildings blow up now on a 5+, but at least they're out and no buildings blow up, and the other trebuchet takes a few wounds, so I still have to go after that now. Warp Lightning is denied, and any of my other magic doesn't get through. I'm waiting for him to get just a bit closer, and then I'm going to do a big-ass Cloud of Corruption and hopefully kill a whole bunch of knights that way. So, my Warp Fire Thrower, I score nice. I actually, the template's down, but it actually covers all the knights. But the thing is the ward save is just killing me. He ends up doing really good with his armor and ward save. I'm not sure if he took a panic test. I don't know if I told him that he had to, but whatever, these guys are fine. And the Doom Rocket rolled like 3 6s and a 5. So I was going to try to kill a couple knights here. It would have been great. He would have had only 4 up armor save and whatnot, but no, it went flying right past him. So no hits with the Doom Rocket. So all my Skaven toys aren't really working today. So for Brettonian turn 3, since all my shooting doesn't really want to cooperate or has already blown up, it's time to drop the Storm Banner. So I actually waited because I wanted to make sure I was able to get some shooting off with the Lightning Cannon even though it blew up. But now he's got these the Peg Knights, which you'll see in a second, and then Lord Flappy Bird. He's going to go to try heroic killing below the Grace here or the Bell, but he can't because he's not going to have his 10-inch 2d6 Swift Stride, so that's wonderful. So over here with the Peg Knights, he issues a charge onto the Engineer and the Warpfire Thrower, forgetting that the Storm Banner doesn't allow him to fly anymore, so I reminded him that, so he took those back, but you can see there's no room to get through there in between the slaves and the Storm Vermin, so they're unable to charge that stuff and clear out that chaff. After killing the Wissens, Peg Knights, this guy has turned and reformed and now received a charge finally from these guys, finally making the charge. The problem is they're out of range for Savage and some of the other spells, so they're not going to be as buffed as his army is now a little bit separated. And then the Pegasus dude go ahead and make a rear charge on the slaves and a front charge with the Flaming Banner Realm Knights or Errant Knights. This is fine. It's going to be a little bit of a grind. I'm not too upset about it. It's slaves after all, but he does have to take some difficult terrain tests running in there. So yeah, I think a guy dies. The Bell being too far of a charge now, he goes and clears off these giant rats. And I don't flee. I actually hold because I'm hoping that he gets a small overrun, and I just charge into him with the Bell unit. It's not the best combat choice, but the Lord in a Boombreaker is still there, so it will deal some damage, but the impact hits is where it's at. Now, if I get some impact hits, I know he's got his ward save, but man, that'd be awesome. So over here, I roll up Feed, which is great. I take my 4 wounds, but with Feed, it's Strength 6 to all models in base contact, which is 3 paladins, which is great. So that's 2s to wound, and then there's no armor save multiplied into D3 wounds, so I know I'm able to kill a character or 2 over here. So I think I might have done the rule wrong and made him take an initiative test, which is stupid on my behalf. I gotta get these hell pit rules down, but either way, we kill a paladin or 2, and that frees up some room for me to attack the unit. And over here, the freaking Lord Flappy Board overruns 12 inches, so I'm not able to get that charge off, which really, really sucks. So the Bell unit's going to have to wait to deal with Lord Flappy Bird. And the attack over here to the right is a little bit underwhelming. I was expecting to lose at least half the unit. I lost a quarter. I lost 12 guys, so that's fine. They're going to sit there on leadership 10. And it's into Skaven turn 4 now, so I've barely moved. It might be a bit of a boring game to some people, but I'm still trying to get into this brawler thing of go get points, so I don't know. But anyway, my engineer pops out of the slave unit. This way he can finally maybe get some more warp lightnings onto the Lord Flappy Bird. So he already has 1 wound on him. I think it was from a previous warp lightning. Here's the right side of the board. Doom Rocket Engineer, who has already fired his Doom Rocket and it did nothing, is now just going to run up and chaff. Which, again, it might be stupid. I might as well maybe just go fight them with the Stormvermin, but I don't know. I'm just used to not fighting, which is not Brawler's Bash mentality. So I end up scoring another wound on Lord Flappy Bird with the Warp Block Engineer. So he is now at 2 wounds, which is wonderful. And over here, this combat keeps on going. So we fight, and I kill some knights. And I think I might have killed another paladin, maybe. So we already bounced back here to Brettonian turn 4, and to my surprise, we avoid the engineer entirely, because I guess we don't want to fight the storm vermin, since it's a big block of them, and there's a hero in there. So Anthony sends his guys into the slaves, which, I mean, still need to be grinded down just a bit more. Lord Flappy Bird moves front and center, right here in front of the Bell unit, so I'm going to charge him, of course, get those impact hits. Please try to kill him on impact, but he does have that thing where he's going to issue challenges and force people to accept him, so I did move the Lord on Bonebreaker into the Storm Vermin, which might have been a bad move because that Flappy Bird's here now. I don't know, because I really want to kill some peasants and whatnot. So I've got a champion and an engineer in there, so hopefully Lord Flappy Bird will, not be able to kill the Gracie right away. But he does go ahead and get Wissons off onto him, so he's going to be even more of an issue to deal with. Oh, my BSB is in there too, so he'll slowly go through my heroes if I don't kill him. And I was unable to dispel Savage Beast, or maybe I just let it go because at the end of the day it's slaves. I don't think I did that because I'm going to want to charge them in my turn, so I'm pretty sure he was just able to get it off without me dispelling it. And the slaves pop, and I believe they're actually able to kill somebody in the fray. So there's a Pegasus Knight down, so somehow I was able to kill Pegasus Knight to my surprise. So Feed was nice for killing off some paladins, but I finally got like Flailing Fists or Avalanche of Flesh, whichever one was able to give me the volume, and I did enough wounds to break these guys, so they're running, but I didn't catch them. I do get them though on my turn 5 though, so I catch up and crush the rest of those guys, so I get the points for the remaining paladins and the whole unit. And now for the big stuff. I issue a charge onto the Pegasus Knights, and they flee, which is fine. but I do not redirect because right now the Savage Beast is on those two units, which is there's 6 paladins in there, I believe. I can't deal with that. So I'm gonna have to take the charge from the guys. I know there's gonna be lances in there from the support attacks and the lance formation, but it's better than getting wrecked by those heroes. I'll have to deny Savage Beast next turn. The only thing I was able to squeeze out in my magic phase was Wither onto Lord Flappy Bird. Everything else was denied. I have a beautiful angle here for a shot on the guys with the warp fire thrower. I do end up scoring a 10, so it places nice. I get like 2 full ranks on both units. It's a well placed shot. It might have been in my better interest to angle a little bit more to closer to the screen here to us, and maybe hit up some heroes there, because it would have been -2 armor save, D through multiple wounds. It would have been able to kill some heroes, but some of the paladins already have a wound or two on them, so it's not a big deal. But I am able to kill a handful of guys here. You could see that there are a bunch dead. This picture actually goes into Anthony's turn, and he does make that charge onto the Storm Vermin, and Lord Flappy Bird doesn't die from impact hits from the bell when I charged him, and instead he like kills my unit champion or something. So I apologize. It was late, so towards the end of this game here, the pictures are just a mess. But yeah, so spells are getting down. It's just crazy. So the rest of the game is just going to be a little bit of a blur. But this combat does happen. I know at one turn I like 6 dice freaking Cloud of Corruption, which was really going to help me kill Lord Flappy Bird and all the knights and everything, but I'm pretty sure Anthony was able to dispel it, which really sucked because that was my only chance at killing a bunch of knights and being able to maybe, I don't know, overwhelm him back if I can kill Lord Flappy Bird or even a freaking paladin or two. But you could see here on the back of his movement trays, he has those dice and they all say 1. That's because I'm actually slowly killing a bunch of his paladins. Slowly meaning they're only getting 1 wound thrown each of them. But the Storm Vermin end up dying, which really sucks. The Bonebreaker guy wasn't able to do much because the Savage Beast was just dealing out a lot of damage because I guess he was able to get that off again. I didn't really do too good in the magic phase on my turn or his turn. I was able to get none of my spells through, and he was able to get a lot in. So, yeah, I guess I had poison attacks there on the Storm Vermin. I have that card down, and here's just an overview shot of my slaves charging him, my warp fire thrower just taking another shot, not doing too great, so my shooting kind of sucked towards the end of the game here. Lord Flappy Bird slowly kills my heroes. He finally gets to the Grace Tier. I don't think he kills the Grace Tier right away. Actually, I don't remember if he does or not kill him at all. I do have the Fencer Blades and the Scalm and the thing that makes him reroll successful hits for 1 round of combat. So, yep. The Warpfire Thrower has a wonderful shot onto that unengaged unit, or even the engaged unit with slaves. I could shoot at both, but he decides to turn over and run over to this unit here and, I don't know, blow up, I think. I think he kind of does a strength 10 hit or strength 5 hit to a bunch of guys around him. Crazy Skaven shit happens. So after the Warpfire Thrower blows up, we go into, I guess it's the end of the game, Anthony's turn 6. He issues a charge onto the Bell unit, and the guys end up combat reforming, or just reforming to face the slaves so he can get some more attacks in there. That's great. There's some gutter runners running around, still trying to kill some Peg Knights because both War Machines are dead. I'm not sure if we rolled up these combats at the end or we just kind of called it game, but the Bell unit's not going anywhere. The Grey Seer, or the Bell at least, isn't dying. I don't remember if the Grey Seer dies, but he's just grinding through slaves. My BSB ends up dying due to Lord Flappy Bird issuing challenges and slaughtering people. And here's the last shot of the game. There's the Gunner Runners and the Peg Knights that are still chilling. But this is all we have left here. There's plenty of shit off to the side, casualties. But all his Paladins have like 1 wound on them, which I believe with Brawler's Bash I'd be getting half points for. We didn't add up the points because it was late and it was, you know, whatever. It was for fun. Practice game. But Lord Flappy Bird survives, and yeah, so not a good showing for this game against the Brettonian, but Anthony has a solid list, and as you probably know at this point, he does very well at Brawlers with it because he's just sending those heroes in, doing all sorts of damage. And it's always very humbling getting kicked in the ass by Brettonian. So I hope you guys enjoyed this game with Long Island Wargaming and the Sustainable Center. Next up, I'm going to try to get the game with Malorian, Mr. Malorian out, and then from there, I'm going to try to go for my games 1 through 5. And then 2 local practice games, and also I forgot there's the game with Tuna Sandwichify I'm going to try to put up as soon as possible too. So hope you guys enjoyed, and see you in the next video.